Hey fellow comrades, how you guys been doing? It's your boys in here and welcome back to our newest Pokemon Wi-Fi battle. Basically this is gonna be the Battle Union round 7 going against Eric and Blistol City Fletchlings, I believe. He is the coach of the following team, and I will go into the team specifically made for his team, the Pokemons that I got here, and talk about his Pokemon, what I was generally expecting and what I haven't. I thought about doing, those kind of videos on its own, but then I'm like, I don't know, it may actually cover it a little bit more once I actually know what he's generally got, while at the same time what I originally prepared for, I can still put my original thoughts that I had and what I actually come to face as we go. So basically my team Crocodile is made to take on lead Yanmega. I've seen that he put Yanmega outside a bench for his Crovitzo, and Crovitzo is actually a very big threat. It is, but then again, looking at my team, Crovitzo isn't that big of a deal. I mean, I can definitely handle with Dragalge, especially if I'm a bulky set. Keldeo can definitely take it on one-on-one. If I'm Scarf, it's gonna be ruined, and outside of that, I guess, but with Crovitzo gone, I didn't like super prepared for it, because there is no Crovitzo to begin with, so why even prepare? But basically, Crocodile has got max HP investment, and it can take on even a modest Specs Bug Buzz, because I got the berry that reduces the damage of bug type moves. So it's kind of an overkill at that point. I can definitely take it very well. I can definitely survive with some reasonable amount of health, but the reason it's an overkill is just because if I could, if he managed to get a cheap damage on me somewhere, like with Stealth Rocks possibly, if he does manage to put them up with like a Chansey, even with the resistance, I just want to be 100% sure I can take on Yanmega, and I got Rock Slide to take it out if it doesn't have Sash, which I doubt. Then again, without Specs, he's not going to be doing as much as one would want. And I'm expecting, like a Speed Boost variant because I got Keldeo. And I'm kind of fearing the 4 attack one, while 3 attack tend to be like the most common, like Hidden Power, Air Slash, and Bug Buzz for basically a double stab. But at the same time, that Protect is as it lasts, maybe potential U-turn, I cannot seem to say. What I know is that definitely Yanmega is on my mind right now. It's a huge problem. And with that, let's go to our next Pokemon. So I decided to pick Keldeo, because with Sacred Sword hidden on a physical side, generally if I run Specs Keldeo, I could actually potentially ruin his day. His team is super weak to this. If I manage to click right moves on the right time, Chansey cannot take 2. I would assume it cannot take with Evil Eye. There's no way, especially if I'm Specs, Modest. But then I've come to realize, well, if he's got that Ghost, if he for some reason uses the Ghost Poke, as well as Tentacruel, I may as well change my tactics. Mega Audino is also a factor with Calm Mind, so I decided to go with Psych Up, Sacred Sword, that hits from special to the physical defense, from the special attack that is, as well as Scald, as well as Calm Mind. That's right. So I got Psych Up in case Audino goes for the Calm Mind. I can gain that special defense increase, and then I got Psych Up. Basically, if I go one-on-one with Yanmega, I can Psych Up that. And generally, I may actually get a speed boost, but then again, I don't know if I'm gonna play that game. It's way too risky, but at the same time, if Mega Audino gets, more than 1 Calm Mind up, I would rather just get 2 Calm Minds in that turn. That's why I got Psych Up over, that's why I got Psych Up as well as Calm Mind to a certain extent, I want to play that game, and I see, like, if he gets greedy at some point with Mega Calm Minding Audino, which is kind of hard to do when I got Scissor, but let's say that Scissor goes down at some point, and my team kind of struggles against Mega Audino after that, defensive form. So it would semi make sense, but then I got Dragalge, but it's not Adaptability Dragalge. So basically, Keldeo, Psych Up, Scald, Calm Mind, and Sacred Sword. Calm Mind and Sacred Sword basically have, not Calm Mind, Sacred Sword and Scald basically cover his team really, really well. I don't need anything else. I don't need like Hidden Power Electric against the Tentacruel, because it's not really gonna be 2-shot net anyway, so it's not even worth the over prediction at cost of my Keldeo potentially. So I'm not gonna play that game. I would have rather have other Pokemon to dealt with Tentacruel if that comes down to it. So Yep, that's Arkeldeo basically. It is, I believe, still timid nature, if I'm not mistaken, just in case, so I can outspeed his Kajundo, his Mian Chao. Mian Chao is a problem if he does use that, which I was expecting. I'm gonna go into the Pokemon that I was expecting, which I have not expect to go into this battle. Then we got Dragalge. Now this time around, I'm playing stall to a certain extent. I got Rest, I got Dragon Tail, I got Sludge Bomb, I believe, or I got Dragon Pulse. No, I believe I got Sludge Bomb just in case Mega Audino and whatnot. And then afterwards, you know, I can definitely just Dragon Tail all others back to hell from whence they came. And then my last move, very important, is Toxic Spikes. If I can get rid of his Tentacool, which I do think he will use, because I got Dragalge, and Tentacool is actually a very good switch to Dragalge if it's max special defense. Then again, he could have a max special defense Dusclops, but we're gonna go into that a little bit later. Dragalge with Toxic Spikes, his whole team is gonna get ruined. Like basically, as you guys can see, like his whole draft is very weak to Toxic Spike if Tentacool is not in to get rid of those. So if I can manage to put them up, no cleric in this world will help it out outside of Tentacool coming in and getting rid of him. That only depends if he predicts this to be a non-adaptability Dragalge. That's right, because a Toxic Spiker cannot have its, released Dream Roll ability. Was it Dream Roll? You know, the secret ability basically. It cannot have that. So basically I have to sacrifice my attack, a lot of attack to be honest with you, for the sake of these spikes, which again is gonna ruin his walls because it will affect him. He will need to aromatherapy, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna use both of those pink things, Chansey as well as Mega Audino. I'm pretty sure because they're bad at, they're really good at walling. But then looking at my team, I don't have a team that really gets ruined by it. I got Mega Scizor, and Mega Scizor basically breaks those. Especially if he uses Evilite Mons, which he does have too. I got Knockoff, I got Bullet Punch, I got SD, and I got Roost. It's a special defensive Mega Scizor. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm taking on them unstaffed flamethrowers from the likes of Mega Audino. I don't care. Because you know what? If I can get a +2, I may just go one-shot at everything else he's got on his team. Then the crew can take a move, that is true. But if I can get rid of it very early, then all is open, because Dusclops, Evilite is not going to be liking +2, even from a special defensive one. It may actually take one, I would assume, but it's not going to like it. And I do have stuff to get rid of my burn if he does decide to do that. So basically afterwards we got Arcanine, another wall breaker. This thing is incredible. I got this from my girl and I love this, I adore this. It's got Morning Sun, it's got Close Combat, it's got Flare Blitz, and Extreme Speed. It is the perfect set to go against his team. The absolute perfect. Because even Tentacool Special Defensive will not like taking a Life Orb boosted, I believe, Adamant Nature Flare Blitz. It's incredible strength. It is. Chansey recoil is gonna be too real, but then I got Morning Sun, which basically means that I can regain most of the health. And going against Mega Audino and Chansey, I'm gonna have that time, because those two just don't do damage much outside of setting up, but they're in for a raw strength with Arcanine. I'm going in with this guy being really out there. It can definitely hit hard. Close Combat probably does, I believe, around 70% to Chansey defensive HP invested in defense, and it can still 2-shot. And with no leftovers, it's a guaranteed 2-shot. So I don't think Stealth Rocks are going to be important. I also got Stealth Rocks on Crocodile in case something else leads that can put them up to handle Yanmega. But then again, Crocodile max HP investment is to handle Yanmega, a very big threat towards my team outside of Dragalge and Scizor, which I know can take a move or two because there's, Scizor is it's a mega specially defensive set. So with the last Pokemon, very important essence right here, ladies and gentlemen, we got the Relic Song, which means it's gonna turn into a physical attacker with Fire Punch, not Fire Blast, my bad. Fire Punch. In case he uses a Scizor as well, because he did have a Scizor on his draft. I thought he's gonna use a Scizor instead of Dusclops, but he's got the Dusclops, which is okay because now he's got way too many walls, I would assume, at this point, going against a setup potentially. And because walls are great, that they are, but if you can get rid of the burn and statuses in general, they're really hard to maintain that stall against things like Roosting Scizor, because they just don't generally hit all that hard. and it gives you the opportunity to SD on them. But it depends. He does have the pressure of Yanmega, he does have the pressure of Kanjado, which I still am not gonna spoil what that Kanjado is, but Tentacruel, that Tentacruel is definitely something else. So basically, it's got Hubel. That's right, Hubel. Hubel, Relic Song, Fire Punch, and Close Combat. Chansey cannot switch in. Hubel is there to mess with his mind. If I go for the Hubel first, he may think I got a special attacker, so he will switch out to Chansey. Chansey doesn't care about Side Shock if I don't got Calm Mind, and with Hubel it's probably not the case. You know, it can take on one-on-one. I guess it cannot take me on one-on-one, like, because, well, it can still Silent Toss me. You know, it can still Silent Toss me while I'm not gonna be doing enough damage. Same with Mega Audino, but Close Combat is something they will not appreciate. But then he's got Dusclops again, which is definitely something I did not expect. And again, Fire Punch for the likes of it. So, basically, what did I expect? Yanmega, Mienshao for that raw string, Tentacruel without a doubt. Again, as I mentioned, I got Dragology. Tiki Spikes are still a possibility, but he may not have those as a priority. Of course, Mega Audino is his Mega. Even after me having Mega Scizor, which one-on-one is not preferable option for you, he will still use it, because with Calm Mind, I would assume he may have, it can, you know, it can still take a move from a Mega Scizor, definitely, especially if I'm special defensive, and Flamethrower afterwards, it's gonna be painful. Chansey, this Feint is incredibly powerful. Even a +2 Outrage from Dragonite does not take on Chansey. It doesn't one-shot it, which really shows the bulk of Chansey. And if it's got counter, we're in for a world of pain. So we need to seriously set up on this. If it's got counter, that is. I would assume Toxic. Maybe, probably, looking at my team, I take on T-Wave to a certain extent with my mons on draft a little bit better than I take on Toxic. It really showed when I battled Laura in the 2 weeks ago. Was it last week? Yeah, it was actually last week. Oh man, weeks really go fast. But basically, also expect Tentacruel, as I mentioned. Chansey also. The one Pokemon I did not expect is Dusclops. But we're gonna see how this game is gonna go. So it's been 12 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen. Fasten your seatbelts. We're going for a walk. Let's go. So basically, our coach Eric here. Eric. Ready and going. He's gonna lead directly with Tentacruel. I am really scared right now, because while I do have the HP investment, I believe I got the speed investment to a certain degree, but I don't got that much. So if he's got speed investment, he will outspeed. Goes for the Hydro Pump, but we managed to survive that because of my massive HP investment. Here is where I was glad I put max HP investment, because he's actually running Scarf Tentacruel, ladies and gentlemen. Timid Scarf. It actually surprised me that he didn't run Modest, but he was hoping to be prepared for the Scarf Crocodile with Adamant Nature. So it makes sense. Anyways, he's gonna go for Hidden Power. I would honestly, this is Hidden Power Ice, but revealing it this early made me make my next switch a little bit easier, because now I know I'm not facing Hidden Power Fire. I know I can take one, but I would not like to take it. So now I'm pretty sure I can stay in. I can go for the SD right now. I am in a position I can definitely do so. Mega Scizor is definitely pulling in the work to a certain extent if he does switch out. But the guy stays in, goes for a slash, and that does so much damage. That is unreal, and he does manage to score a flinch. This is bad. This is really bad. I'm going for the Roost right now. I'm hoping he's going to switch out. I'm hoping he's not playing this. Yeah, I'm hoping he's not going to rely on 30, because the chances of getting it twice are slim. But again, you gotta understand, this is a max special defense Scizor. This is base 100 if I'm not mistaken, special defense. So that did a lot. Life Orb, Yanmega really pulling in the work. I could not put up the rocks, but Tentacruel is gone. And that is huge, because Dragology can come in. Mega Audino, it's gonna go directly for the Wish. He's not even gonna Mega, now that I think about it. I don't know, like, I believe in the rules it applies that we got a Mega straight from the bat. But I know why he's doing this, because in a way he's trying to get the regeneration going, but it's in the rules that you gotta Mega right from the bat, because what happens if you don't Mega, if you don't got the chance to Mega, you didn't use your Mega Audino that was on the bench. So yeah, I don't know about the term, but it's just there, so it's fine. It's not like I was attacking it, so it didn't really matter anyways. But basically, I put up the T-Spikes right now. He's gonna switch out to Dusclops, which is actually made, because this commentary is made on Friday. I know, because I've seen his analyzation. This is made for Dragalge. It can take 2 specs, Dragon Dracometeus, which is insane. That is truly something else. So I had to switch out to Meloetta. He did burn me, but I did not expect this Dusclops to be a problematic thing, because I did get rid of the burn on my Dragalge, but the way I brought in Meloetta I should have think about, because if he's gonna trap me, which he did, I should have stayed in with my Dragalge, because I had Dragon Tail. So basically, I sort of screwed myself up on the turn, sadly enough. So Meloetta is in. Here's a bummer. I cannot even turn into my Relic, because I got it's a normal offensive move. So Relic cannot hit Ghost types, and I got Fire Punch. I got Close Combat, which Close Combat he is immune to. So basically, I cannot do anything. Fire Punch still has 40% with Serene Grace, so that's definitely an incredible amount of chance to burn. I do manage to burn, but now he's gonna rest, and now I'm starting to think, oh, this is bad. Like, this is bad. Like, he cannot touch me. That's true. But I cannot touch it. So will he really play this game? Because he kind of stalked me into this mood. He kind of stopped me from switching out. So it was his basic decision to lock me in. I cannot do anything about this. So I have to stay in. But he does have the upper hand of switching out still, while still making me locked in, in this field. So I'm gonna go for Fire Punch again. Future Sight is gonna connect, but I resist, so that's fine. Future Sight Dusclops is actually very interesting. Gotta give him that. Keldeo is a factor there. While it would not take me out, it would still do a considerable amount of damage. And Dragalge, again, as I mentioned, is definitely there. So Dragalge could have taken it. I'm max defensive, I'm max HP investment, I'm a bulky spread. But Dragalge, it doesn't have EVs in special defense. So I would assume it would have taken it well, to a certain extent, but it will still do damage. So I got rest on my Dragalge anyway, so I could have gotten rid of that by some point. Then again, now I'm gonna go for Relic. I'm gonna turn into my fighting offensive Meloetta. This is the first time showcasing the fighting offensive form, and here is where I start to play a little bit too safe. At the same time, it was super obvious he's gonna switch out, but he's asleep, so what can he really do against me? I go for the Close Combat. Who's gonna stay in with a Chansey going against Meloetta fighting form, especially if you're running a positive nature in attack. So that was a little silly on me, but at the same time I couldn't really risk. I mean, I could have, but I didn't want to let like T-Wave or something strange like that. You never know. So I switch out to Scizor. He's gonna waste 1 turn of sleep. Great move on his behalf, of course, knowing that I will have to switch out. This way he can definitely shuffle around and try to wake up his Dusclops to proceed to wall me later on. But then when he wakes up, these spikes are still gonna do damage. So go for knockoff again, playing it safe. He does switches out to this, which is his Mega, and this must be the turn that he will Mega. I'm not even gonna stay in, because if he is in any way EV train in special attack, I would not like to take his Flamethrower right now. I would generally really wouldn't want to take his Flamethrower. So he's gonna go for the Wish. And he's not Mega. He's just not using Mega right now, because again, when I think about it, well, it makes sense. It also makes sense because he is generally normal type right now. It's not Fairy, so he does have that. But now he's gonna turn into Fairy, so that way he could have taken a move from Scizor and then afterwards, turn into a Mega Audino. It definitely makes sense. Then again, I myself cannot say how this applies, because last time I used the Scizor, I had to like Mega all the time, like at first turn. Even if you got the strategies like this, that is not an Audino, that is supposed to be Mega Audino, so you gotta use the Mega Audino, which again, it makes sense from his perspective to not Mega, because you don't have that steel weakness. But at the same time, what if you never come down to having the chance to Mega? If you had to switch in and sack it or something, then that would have never become a Mega. But he luckily did decide to Mega Evolve. At that point, I did go for Flare Blitz, and ladies and gentlemen, that is actually a defensive Mega Audino, but with a crit that basically nearly destroyed it, and with a poison, Dragalge made a kill, ladies and gentlemen. Dragalge made a kill right there. Poison taken down, but the wish is gonna be problematic because the next incoming Pokemon is gonna get this wish now, and that is very good for him because I cannot attack this. I could have gone for extreme speed, but I don't want to sack this. I switch out to Dragalge thinking, you know, it's very safe. It's safe. I'm a defensive. I'm 252 defense. There is no way you can take me down. But ladies and gentlemen, that barely survives with a crit, of course. But no way. I resist that. There is no way. That is choice band. Mienshao, what strength! I have not faced so much power. You know, last time I've been faced by power was Mega Marichan, but that thing was stalling. But this is no way, man. This is insane. I don't have Spiritomb, so it makes sense. Even Amoonguss would not appreciate taking 2 of this. So it makes sense why he's run it. But still gotta switch. Sadly enough, we don't have like a real check to this because I don't see like anything on my draw taking 2 of this. Like even Amoonguss would not appreciate that. Choice band is insanely strong. You know, he's got Reckless and all those things. So I go for the Sacred Sword. I just basically go for the Sacred Sword. I just wanted to do damage against that, want to weather it down. Even if it cost me my kill, it's fine. I want to weather it down. I need to weather it down. So basically I switch out to my Arcanine. Taking this Dusclops is an opportunity to Morning Sun, as he may take this opportunity to get rid of one more turn of sleep, which he does. Again, he's playing very good with his Dusclop here, while I'm playing mighty obvious, but if his Dusclops is special defensive, he could have taken the Scalds very well and he could have gotten the burn. And if anything, I would rather have him being deadly poisoned, you know, heavily poisoned than the other way around. So I do go for the Morning Sun, but he makes an exceptional move, switches out to his Gajando. He could have switched out to Chansey, that's why I didn't really go for the Flare. But then again, close combat, you know, he is immune to his Dusclops. So I'm just gonna go for the extreme speed, do a lot of damage. He's gonna go for a high jump kick, and that is ruined right there. Sunblow Vigor is gonna go down. What I thought is gonna go well, it did go well against Megaudino, so Sunblow Vigor definitely pulled in the work. And Chansey, I feel Chansey is not that big of a deal because Megaudino can go for the Flamethrower. Chansey, I just don't think is gonna run that on Chansey, which has like barely any special attack to begin with. So I switch out to Keldeo again, knowing his choice bet that he will not. I repeat this, he will not outspeed me, so I'm really glad I'm running Timid. Then again, he could just potentially be Adamant Nature based on the damage. But I'm gonna go for the Scald right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just gonna go for the Scald. I got leftovers. I could be a sub-Calm Mining set, but Keldeo is known for hidden physical side, and that remainder of HP chance is that with a poison, he's not going to be taking this. I'm going to go for Sacred Sword. He could switch out to Yanmega. He definitely could with a 4-time resistance. But would he really risk that when Chansey is basically a goner? I don't think he's going to do that. Especially when Arcanine is gone. So it's not going to like try to recall stall me with a Flare Blitz. Switching out to Chansey's massive HP. So here's, ladies and gentlemen, when I made a huge mistake. I should have gone for the Psychop. But then again, Psychop wouldn't work, right? Well, actually, it wouldn't work. No, I should have gone for the Calm Mind. That's what I'm trying to say. What the hell am I talking about? Because Speed Boost goes after turns. I should have gone for the Calm Mind, expecting him to protect, but I wasn't too sure if he's got protect on this because it's sort of obvious. And you know, basically, Eric likes to play creative. He had like Future Sight Dusclops, so that's definitely a pointer there. But now stuff are getting very dangerous. This is a +2 Yanmega. He really made an incredible decision there. Well, Tinted Lens is sort of like really, you know, people really want the strength, but then again, Yanmega with Speed Boost, you cannot go wrong with that, especially if I didn't manage to put up the rocks. So it's gonna outspeed me easily now. Keldeo is gonna get twice the outspeeded now at this point, but that's crazy. So I'm gonna need to switch out the Red Devil Cloyd. I got Scizor and I got Keldeo. Keldeo will get outspeeded. He still got Dusclops, Yanmega, Kinjando, ladies and gentlemen. Stuff are getting serious. So he's gonna go for a Protect. Big mistake, because I'm gonna go for SD right now, ladies and gentlemen. He managed to allow me to get this SD. Well, honestly, I couldn't really say why he would protect, because he's gonna outspeed me. Maybe expect the as bullet point. I cannot seem to say, but what I do know is that I can take another. If he doesn't flinch me, I can go +4, and with +4, even a special defensive one, if he's Dusclops, which by this point I'm not too sure if it's special defensive or defensive, I can still go for a Bullet Punch. I know I can take Yanmega. Yanmega has got some decent amount of defense to begin with, so I couldn't really be sure if a +2 Bullet Punch would take it out at that point. Pokemon Showdown calcs were actually down, so that makes even worse. That's right, they were down for me. So I'm gonna go for the knockoff. I couldn't even use them, and I managed to take down with a +4. Of course, Dusclops is gonna go down. He did have Evilite, but that is still fully boosted knockoff. And his last Kajondo is gonna come in. I had only Keldeo, so Yanmega, if it flinches there twice, it could have destroyed me. And he had 3 Pokemon, which came down to SD Scizor coming in and pulling in the victory with 3 kills that were remainder on his team. That was Keldeo, Dusclops, and his Yanmega. Scizor was essential in this battle, especially defensive, especially because I could have taken Life Orb Air Slashes not that well as I would want, honestly. That did so much damage. Really surprised. Yanmega is a powerhouse. He did switch it for Clowitzo, which again made me not prepared for it. Clowitzo is very powerful, but if you don't put up the rocks, Yanmega is something else. Yanmega is beast. And with Tentacruel, I guess I could have understand why he wouldn't use Clowitzo, because it's another water type Pokemon to a certain extent then, and then he's got, problems with typings. But here, he had a power, he had the bulk, he played great. I feel like I played way too safe. I'm not proud of my performance in this battle, to be honest. I feel like I played the same I played against Alora. Risking when I shouldn't have, playing too simple. Clicking moves, which a beginner would have done. When I know my opponent Eric here is doing his best in making all the smart decisions, but I'm playing safe all the time. At some point, I didn't feel threatened because I got Scizor. I know if I can set up with Scizor, which happened, I can definitely pull through. But I didn't really account that if flinches happen, stuff may just get a little bit complicated. I should have definitely put that into consideration. Plus, I had so many opportunities to play my cards a little bit better and preserving even a better score, which came down to be a 2-0, but at some point it was a 2 versus 3 Pokemon left. He was at the upper hand. And then is where I start to realize, wait, I really need to pull back here, because this is incredible. Like, 2 Pokemon, it comes free when you know that you got Scizor to set up, but Kajondo, the strength was too real. That Dusclops going to sleep was also sort of important. Sadly enough, he was 1 turn away, basically for not waking. Well, he was basically 1 turn away from waking up. But then again, his man child couldn't have taken anything, even if he burned me, because of the extreme speed damage that we had back then with Arcanines. So, gotta say, Crocodile, I'm proud of you. You take that Tentacruel, which may have been the most important turn in the game with max HP investment, because T-Spikes were a thing afterwards, and he couldn't get rid of those with the Rapid Spin. He could generally, well, not really Rapid Spin, but with basic poison typing that he had. I couldn't get rid of, I couldn't put up the rocks, so at some point his Tentacruel was also very important. Keldeo was switched to Mienshao with Timid Nature. Damn, that thing is powerful. If I didn't use Keldeo, I don't know how I could have gone, against that, honestly. I mean, Scizor could have gone with Bullet Punch Extreme Speed. The combination would have taken it out, but still, switches are there, and if you could have somehow managed to pass a wish, which I doubt because my team is semi-offensive, then stuff could have been even worse. Dragalge. Honestly, in this battle, I think Dragalge is an MVP because it made Chansey's stalling so much worse. And if he had counter, I may have actually miscalc because the calcs were down, and I made a mistake, and he could have destroyed me completely. Then we got Scizor, my friend, Scizor. You always do stuff. He used to, in my first 3 battles, he kind of let me down. But then I didn't have the Pokemon that I should have had. Especially feel bad for the first battle I had in the league. To be honest, the first battle, because I didn't use the Pokemon that I really wanted to, because the complications that I was having. I feel like that battle would have been so different if I did have that Pokemon. But then in the second battle, I felt second battle was one of those real battles. Second battle was the one I really felt, I really lost this one. Like, it was one of those games that I really felt, had to my opponent. In that one I really felt. While Lorenzo played incredible, I still feel, because I didn't have that Meloetta, and Keldeo was like a great opportunity check for Venusaur at some point. And I know he had a freaking Venusaur with him, so why would I even use that? But I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna allow my opponent to wait too much. But that's in the past. The third battle against Alora, again, it was all luck based. If I didn't misclick there, I would have sweep, honestly, just like that. Because I misclick, I lost, basically. And at some point, I even got a little bit demotivated because I should have preserved my score a little bit better because the timer was ticking. I had so many opportunities to attack. He had to switch out to something offensive, but I just didn't act on it. She played incredibly smart afterwards, but before the bell, when the bell started, I had the upper hand. And then after that Scald Burn, me not having Meloetta because I was dumb with Hubel, not having that Pokemon instead of having Electros. I should have listened to my girl back then. Yeah, but this time around we had Meloetta Hubel, and while it didn't really work out all that, it still was there, so we could get rid of the burn on Scizor, and that was all Meloetta was meant to do, as well as break a Pokemon or two outside of Dusclops, which is the Pokemon he had. Meloetta fighting form has got incredible speed. It can speed on Yanmega without speed boost. With a speed boost, of course, that will not be the case. Arcanine, again, a wall breaker. I love why I have this Pokemon as my mascot for this team. It's truly great. It's a great Pokemon. It's a great looking Pokemon. It looks legendary, to be honest with you guys. And it's close combat, Flare Blitz, Morning Sun, Extreme Speed. Look at his team and tell me that isn't the perfect moveset. It is the perfect moveset. Close combat to not get recall. Dusclops, Flare Blitz, Life Orb. It's gonna do a lot. It may not two-shot, but it's gonna do a lot. And Dusclops doesn't have lefties to kind of regain those, and stuff kind of get a little bit tactic for his opponent, because if he doesn't have Sleep Talk, stuff kind of start to become a setup. Again, that is my team. I felt Yanmega was powerful. It bring in the force. Simply late game Yanmega is such a beast, because I just don't got things to take it on with Jorgalgi gone, especially. Keldeo outbeing outspeeded, and Crocodile, I guess, Crocodile wasn't scarfed to begin with. It had Stealth Rocks, Rock Slide, Earthquake, and Knockoff, I believe, because Stab Knockoff against Chanseys and switches like that could always do, and just generally Knockoff against Dusclops as well, outside of Mega Audino, which again, Mega Audino is definitely a factor, but I got Earthquake as well, so I could have shuffled around those moves a little bit, so it would make Mega Audino come in a little bit harder. But Dusclops definitely a stop to my Meloetta, but at some point it was like Meloetta was a stop to him because I sadly had Hubel, so we kind of wall each other. It could have come down to a PP stall, but he kind of honestly, actually thinking about it, he could have probably like time stall at that point. It would have been kind of crazy, right? But we were in here. What happens. But basically, he kind of lock me into it. When I had Jorgalgi with Dragon Tail, I should have just stayed in, because again, I had rest, so I wouldn't really be losing much. I wouldn't be losing much against Dusclops one-on-one. Rest with Hubel, of course, getting rid of it. I thought about using my whole team with rest, just because once you go for the Hubel, your whole team is at full HP and healthy. So yeah, but then it's risky turns of trying to pull in a Hubel. What if you don't? Then your team is kind of screwed. It's one of those two. I really wanted to use that. That would be kind of crazy. I used to use that. It was like full stall, and then all things having rest and T-spikes and all sorts of shenanigans. And then two Pokemon having Hubel or Aromatherapy and crazy stuff. So that would definitely been it. Kajundo was on the same level as Yanmega, if not even worse, because Kajundo just break havoc upon my Jorgalgi. It was insane, Eric, man. Gotta give it that. Choice band Kajundo, use this thing, because this thing is too much. It breaks. I cannot wall this. Like, what can wall this? The Kajundo even gets U-turn, so it's even worse than Mega Medicham, to be honest. Because then, like, things that are truly resisted to all the things you got are just not going to be taking that. With Scout, it's important to get that switch initiative. You can go from there. Hidden Power Ice was meant for Dragonite, I would assume. I would assume it was meant for Dragonite, and with Speed Boost, it can outspeed me. So it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. Plus enough speed to, with Timid, I would assume that was modest. Dragonite tends to be adamant, so it would have still outspeed me anyways. Yeah, Chansey didn't really do much. It couldn't really, honestly. I don't know, like Sub-Boil counter, probably. Yeah, I believe that was his set. Actually, thinking about it now that I go back, yeah, that was his set, because I was I've seen the analyzation. I believe it didn't have wish. That is what I was questioning in this battle. Did it have wish? But then he had 2 wishes, so that would be a little bit strange. But were those 2 Pokemon really meant to not, like, Flamethrower Comite, I would assume for Mega Audino, I cannot seem to remember right now, but I would assume Segmentos counter Toxic. No, Segmentos counter Toxic and Sawboil. That's what I would assume for him to have, and I believe that is his moveset. Now that I go back looking at it, yeah, that must have been his moveset. But then Mega Audino, I cannot seem to remember right now. Now Tentacruel was, ladies and gentlemen, Scarf, Timid Nature, Hydro Pump, Shrink like no other. Holy hell. But that was the match, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. We are in with 4-3. We won 4 matches. Lost 3. 2 of them I lost because I was dumb. Honestly, like seriously, honestly speaking, 2 of them I lost because I was dumb. Basically, I haven't prepared as much as I should have had, because once I do prepare, stuff are a little bit better. Scores are a little bit better. Win or lose, scores are still a little bit better. And yeah, that is how this game went. So, great game to my opponent, Eric. It was a pleasure battling you. Go check him out. Go check out the Battle Union. And until the next week, we're going to try to do our best. We play some offense, we play some stall. And looking at his team, I thought stall is going to do, but then he had freaking Choice Ban. Kajundo, the worst nightmare, man. Oh my god. And Yanmega, another Pokemon that really breaks things. You just don't switch on this. That was a max special defense Scizor. And that is a solid 3 shot from that range. Holy hell. That's insane. And, at least it looked like a solid 3 shot, man. With Air Slash. Just a simple Air Slash, man. But yeah, that was the game. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And I'm gonna try to do my best right now to really change the table, because this next 2 battles, maybe for the next week, for the last week, I may not be around because I'm going to Belgium to meet my girl. But basically, I'm gonna try to find a replacement, and I'm gonna be sure that person is dangerous. Like, I'm gonna make everybody scared. Week 9, don't mess around. But no, we're gonna see. Maybe I'm gonna manage to still pull through the time, but it's gonna be hard. As for week 8, still doing my best. I believe we're going against Black Kyurem and Mega Mobile, so that should be interesting. But I'm pretty sure those 2 are gonna be used, because they're the Pokemons that are always in, no matter what. So I can definitely prepare for that. That was a little note to my opponent here. I'm definitely prepared for those. Semi. But then again, how does one even prepare against those 2? Like, doesn't matter how prepared you are. Those 2 just break things in here. Like, we're super limited. Like Mega Mobile. What the hell? Jesus Christ, man. With +2, it just fucking destroys my whole team. No, but, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that was the game. That's how it went. It was fun. And take care. Give a like if you enjoyed. Peace out.